The model that I use when I'm hiring staffing is something I picked up when I was working at the Robbins organization. And it was just three things: can do, will do, team fit. Can they do the job? Will they do the job? And are they a team fit? Because they've got to be all three. So one of the things that you have to understand is that it took you years to build this skill set. And every entrepreneur, when they hire somebody new, they want them to be perfect on day one. But there's always going to be a ramp. So with hiring staffing, to get successful people on your team, you have to give them the runway to learn and make mistakes. And then what we also want to do is we want to make sure that you're in alignment with this next evolution. Welcome to Transform with Jason Drees. Don't forget to join me every Monday at 10 a.m. Central for a free mindset alignment. Go to mondaymindsetreset.com to sign up. On today's episode, I've got a client of mine, a long-term client, Mr. Jaden Olson. He's been with me for quite a few years now. You may have recognized him. He is the Corvette Stingray owner story that was posted to social with a really awesome story. Jaden is 33 years old, just had his fourth child, and he managed to pull off 3 boys and then a girl. So I'm pretty jealous of that. He's from Ogden, Utah. He runs a company called Ballpark Engineering, and they do structural design in residential, commercial, and industrial facilities. Also built ballpark properties and real estate. Jaden's been a wildly successful entrepreneur over the past 3-4 years. And I remember when we first started coaching, I just kind of said one day, like, what do you think is really possible? And he threw out this big number, like 300. And I said, well, why don't you do that? And he said, okay. And he went and did it. Like, he literally just crushed it like crazy. So yep. Jaden, do you remember that?
I do. That was my first year as an entrepreneur. And I said, I need help in this crazy adventure. And so, yeah, it was awesome.
Well, congratulations. So how old's your youngest, your girl? What's her name?
Audrey. She is 14 days old. Yeah.
Okay. And the bags under your eyes aren't nearly big enough yet. So
that's because I got a good wife. She's a rock star.
Mine is as well. So what should we talk about today? What do you want some coaching on?
Yeah. So I have grown my business. We're doing $70,000, $80,000 a month in the engineering business, and real estate we got 65 doors now. I have a lot to manage on my plate. There's a lot that I'm doing on the day to day. The biggest hurdle that I'm having right now as a business owner is managing cash flow and keeping my eyes open and being confident that the dollars are coming in that I need to come in to manage my payroll, my employees, I've got $15,000 in mortgage payments every month. We've got everything else that we're doing with our real estate stuff, and it's stressful. And we watch our cash flow dip, and then it climbs, and then it dips, and then it climbs. And I think that's a hurdle that every entrepreneur goes through. But it's turning my hair gray, Jason. It's wearing on me. So yeah, that's what I want coaching on, is how do I maintain my mindset during those times of, like, I don't know what's happening tomorrow, and keeping my chin up.
Well, we have to continue building the game-changing mindset, right? We've been building that mindset for quite a while. And that's what I'm calling it now, the game-changing mindset, because basically there is the version of you are now, and then the version of you who can do what you need to do. And hearing you say you're getting a lot of stress right now from managing cash flow, you're basically playing at a much higher level, but your mindset hasn't fully grown to that level yet. So that's why you're still experiencing stress. And there are 4 phases of being an entrepreneur. There's 4 milestones, right? The first milestone is earning your first dollar. The second milestone is replacing your income, your job typically. The third one is replacing yourself. And the fourth is duplicating it in other businesses. So you may be phase 2 in one business and phase 3 in another, but each of those phases have different challenges, mindsets. So I'm guessing you're mostly 3, right? You're full-time hustle. You got 2 full-time hustle.
Yep.
Full-time hustle. And you're chasing freedom and money, right?
Yes.
Freedom and money.
I do. And replacing myself is something that I am trying to do on a daily basis. I've interviewed 3 people in the last 3 months, and none of them worked out, and it's stressful trying to find somebody that's qualified and capable and somebody that I can trust to hand over elements of my business that I currently do.
So let's talk the coaching, the mindset piece, and then let's talk mentoring. I'll give you a couple strategies. Okay.
Cool. Yep.
So the thing about this phase, like the previous phase is side hustle to full-time hustle, right? Side hustle to full-time hustle requires complete and total ownership of everything. You had to own everything. And I remember when we were talking, and you have to be open and you have to be curious, because I remember you were about to shut down that engineering business.
Yeah.
And then you pivoted, and that's the business that exploded.
Yes.
So it's that phase 2, side hustle to full-time hustle. You got to be open. You got to be flexible. You got to be curious, and you have to be in total ownership. You got to control everything. When you get to the next phase, full-time hustle to freedom, there's a flip. It's an inverse. You have to let go of everything.
Right.
You have to let go of everything. And the first time I really had this understanding, because I'm a visionary, like you're a visionary entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Probably not a manager.
No, I'm trying to be.
Trying to be, right? But you're never going to be, right? Like I remember talking to Lucas Mitchell. He's probably one of the best integrators I've ever met. And he was talking to the Inner Circle, and I was like, "What are your thoughts?" And he's like, "Oh, I try to get rid of everything." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, no, like I have to let go of everything." And it really surprised me, because he told this story about, because he runs a hamburger franchise, Five Guys, very successful, right? He's got like 16 locations. And he was telling me the story about his number one store had a manager, new regional guy that he liked, that he was helping grow. And he had an idea to run in the store. And he talked to him. He's like, and Lucas said, "I don't think that idea is going to work." And he goes, "Well, I think it is." And Lucas said, "Are you willing to take the consequences of it, take ownership of it not working?" And he said, "Yes." And Lucas said, "Okay, go do it." Lucas then tells me that he knew it was going to fail, and it did fail. And his number one store lost money for a period of time because of that. But he did that on purpose, because that's the only way that leader would grow. Because what happens when we hit phase 3, when we get the full-time hustle, we're so happy we're here. We don't want to go backwards. So we become like hyper controlling of failures. So one of the things that you have to understand is that it took you years to build this skill set. And every entrepreneur, when they hire somebody new, they want them to be perfect on day one. But there's always going to be a ramp. So with hiring staffing, to get successful people on your team, you have to give them the runway to learn and make mistakes. And I will also say that this is the hardest phase. 90% of entrepreneurs never make it from 2 to 3. 2 is the hardest phase. 3 is the second hardest phase. It's that me to we shift, because it's an inverse that everybody gets stuck at. It's total control to letting go of everything. So you really have to, the model that I use when I'm hiring staffing is something I picked up when I was working at the Robbins organization. And it was just 3 things: can do, will do, team fit. Can do, will do, team fit. Can they do the job? Will they do the job? And are they a team fit? Because they've got to be all 3. If they're not all 3, you need to keep looking, because you can probably look through some of your resources you've had that didn't work out. They may have been 1 and 3, or 1 and 2, or 2 and 3. So that's a quick metric you can use when analyzing staff. And then what we also want to do is we want to make sure that you're in alignment with this next evolution. You haven't coached with me in over a year. So we're leaning a lot more into alignment than we were before. And basically the indicator of alignment that you want to be aware of is certainty, right? 100% certainty is alignment, right? Because we've all been conditioned to the model of success we grew up with is pick a target, work hard, repeat, right? The new model of success is pick a target, align with the target, flow to the target. Because when we go to alignment is how we get to flow. Alignment's how we get to flow. So we need to start becoming aware of when we are out of alignment. And one thing we need to stop doing is stop positive thinking. Because if we're positive thinking, we're paying attention to the positive thoughts about that subject or that target, and we're ignoring the negative thoughts about the subject in the effort of trying to make an artificially aligned mindset, right? When with frame shifting, we can simply shift from the misaligned frame to the new frame. And that's why you want to become aware of where you're feeling the misalignment so that you don't spend too much time there and you then shift out. But in order to hire those, to successfully hire those, you have got to get to 100% certainty. So we've got to get you to 100%. So a simple way to think about that is there are micro frames and macro frames, right? The micro frame would be how you hire that new project manager in the next 30 days. Like that's the strategy piece, right? And then there's the macro frame, which is like, think of it as like your global success frame. It's because what usually happens is when we don't intentionally set our global or macro frame, uncertainty at the micro level can kick the macro frame into uncertainty.
Say that one more time.
That make sense? So uncertainty at the micro level will create uncertainty at the macro level. And the macro level or global level, that's what the law of attraction responds to. So when you hold alignment at the frame level, at the macro level, the global level, that's where you get the new ideas, the new connections, the new opportunities. So the simple way to create alignment is to use this repeat after me. So try this out loud. I take full ownership of my life and everything in it.
I take full ownership of my life and everything in it.
I am going to find a way.
I'm going to find a way
to fill these 3 job positions.
To fill these 3 job positions.
With amazing staff.
With amazing staff.
That I'm lucky to get.
That I'm lucky to get.
Because I'm not going to stop until I do.
Because I'm not going to stop until I do.
How's that feel?
It's interesting. So it feels good. I noticed that there is an immediate thought shift in how am I going to pay for these amazing staff? Because the cash flow is there. And I know that I have to get over this fear of buying liabilities because what I'm really buying is assets. But that's the immediate mindset that kicked on when I said it.
So, okay. How certain are you right now from 0 to 100% that you can do that?
I know that I can do that from a logical standpoint, but I'm nervous and scared to do that too.
So, but what is the certainty level at now?
I'm 75% sure that I can do that.
Okay. So let's just notice that when we set the new frame, any contradicting reference points in your mindset will come up. Okay. And that's how mindset works, right? Your brain has reference points from your past, and your brain's trying to keep you alive. So it's running these fear-based patterns based off our survival mechanism. So you're deciding like, I'm going to go do this. And then the challenge comes up immediately. So the thing we want to start to become aware of is the secondary contradictory thought. We need to remove that contradictory thought, because that's how the simple way to create alignment isn't to make alignment. It's you remove the contradictions to alignment.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's try this repeat after me again. And this time, if that secondary thought comes up, just notice it and then just push it away. Okay. So let's try this out loud. I take full ownership of my life and everything in it.
I take full ownership of my life and everything in it.
I am going to find a way to fill these 3 job positions.
I'm going to find a way to fill these 3 job positions.
With amazing talent I'm lucky to have.
With amazing talent that I'm lucky to have.
Because I'm not going to stop until I do.
Because I'm not going to stop until I do.
Okay. Breathe. Okay. Where's your certainty now?
That was 100%.
Okay. Because we're operating at such a high frequency now, You can
Yeah.
literally change your beliefs just by an instant thought. Little awareness there, because we're operating at that much. The frequency is so high right now. So, and it's only getting higher. So you can shift very fast. Now, that doesn't change the fact that your cash flow has been what it is. It simply means you made a decision to hit that target. So what you want to do is use this, repeat after me if you need to. And if you're not in certainty, and the repeat after me is, it's, I take full ownership of my life and everything in it. It's then I'm going to hit the target, whatever that is. And then the last statement is because I'm not going to stop until I do. And that allows us to pull the certainty out of our ability to control when we stop. So that puts you in certainty. So that is now the frame where you will know how. Now, be aware, just set a little mental note. The next time cash flow comes up, if that's throwing you off, then run the same process. And the way to process through this stuff now is to literally sit in the reaction. Because the stress about cash flow, or stress about payroll, or stress about 15K in mortgage payments, those are all reactions. Right? They're all reactions. So the other thing, so number one, so the first thing I take away is hold certainty at the global level, intentionally set it. The second one is be intentional with processing reactions. Financial scarcity is always a reaction. Stress is a reaction as well. What happens for most of us is we don't process it. So then it just ends up running all the time. So instead of because it's basically like if you got in a fight with your wife and you got to go cool off, you got to process the emotion, right?
Yeah.
And what happens is we have these reactions to things in business, and we're in a reaction and we don't know that we're in a reaction. So if you've ever tried frame shifting and it's not working, it's because you're in reaction. Because you cannot frame shift in reaction.
Right.
So the way you get into reaction is I've got a 5-minute mindset upgrade tool I could send you that's got a couple repeat after me's and frame shifts. I could send you this tool. This tool works really well. If you run this, it'll get you out of reaction. I'll send it to you. The other thing you can do is literally you just take like a few moments, like 30 seconds to sit with the thoughts and the feelings and let them run. Oh my God, there's stress about cash flow. Yep. Okay. How am I going to do this? I don't know. And just sit there. And if you sit there for a minute or so, the emotional reaction will process. Moving your body and breathing helps a little bit. And then when you get out of reaction, you're like, okay, because in this moment right now, life is what it is. Your bank account right now is what it is.
Yeah.
But next is what we want to make sure that we're aligned with a better next than in a reaction next.
Yeah. It's interesting, Jason. We're talking about this, and I know that this is very similar to the conversations we were having when I first started coaching with you. We're just adding zeros to the problems, and it's a beautiful thing. And I'm becoming the kind of person that can tackle these, but it never ceases to amaze me how stressful and how new these same problems still every time we go through it. And it's just the same process. It really is.
It is the same process, right? Yeah. Well, my tools have evolved in a couple of years, but yeah, it's the same process, right?
Yeah.
And what does Brandon say? He says, "Don't be afraid of commas."
Right.
So, yeah, maybe you should still be in coaching.
Probably should.
Yeah. Probably should. So, how are you? So, where are you? So, in regards to staffing, cash flow, where are you at right now?
As far as like
feeling, thinking, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good, and I still I've got $50,000 in bills that are going to be due in the next 30 days. I've got $30,000 in the bank that I know can cover part of those, but I still need to cover the next, I don't know. I just need to have more certainty that I'm going to go get the work that's going to pay for those. And I feel like I just need to get out of this cycle. And that's like, I don't want to keep running the hamster wheel faster than I can keep up. On the other hand, I know that's part of growth, and getting to that point is hard. I just need to exit the scarcity mentality probably more than anything. That's probably what's
It's
keeping me.
managing the reaction. Yeah, it's the reaction. And because if you're an entrepreneur, you're signed up for financial scarcity long term. As Gary Vaynerchuk says, being an entrepreneur is mostly losing with an occasional win. Right. So maybe sit with that finance and the power in the power of the fear of financial scarcity comes in fearing what's going to happen. Right. The fear about financial scarcity is what happens when the fear runs out. So if you lose your fear about that end result, then the fear goes away. Because if you're short on cash, you're short on cash. You can have an emotional reaction. You can feel bad, but it just is what it is.
Right.
You will take the action necessary to adapt your business and keep going. But that's the source of that. So the simple way to neutralize that fear is to find the gift in it. So for example, let's say the cash flow runs out. What's the worst thing that can happen?
I mean, I can make the problem worse in my head than it probably really is. But worst case, people wait to get paid.
Okay. So that's the worst case scenario. Well, yeah, that in your head, that's the fear, right? So the fear is people have to wait to get paid.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
What would be the gift in that situation?
Probably that I either, I don't know. That's a tough one. What's the gift? I mean, frankly, when I say it out loud, it doesn't sound like that big of a deal by just identifying and naming the fear. And that's a gift more than anything. Because bottom line, I get to pick and choose who gets paid and who doesn't. And I'm not going to pick that my team members don't get paid. It's going to be the bank. And what are they going to do? Send me a late notice. It's not the end of the world.
So the third thing is slowing down to process. We talked about processing reaction, but the fastest way to get into alignment is to stop. Like, stop what you're doing. Stop. Sit still for a couple minutes, 5 minutes. Allow everything to process. Because when you're in reactions, you're not in your most resourceful. You're out of alignment with the solution. You're basically focused on the problem. Because a reaction is playing at the level of the problem and not the level of the solution. And the reason we want to frame shift is we don't want to play at the level of the solution. We want to play at the level of our full potential.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that gone?
Yeah.
Cash flow? Okay. And then the last thing I was going to share was, this is actually more mentoring than coaching, but how much time have you spent trying to hire staff? In the past 5 months?
Probably a lot less than I feel like I have. Probably 15 hours in the last 5 months, which is probably indicative of the results that I'm getting.
Okay. Well, still, that's 2 days of work, right? But you're clearly not a master of hiring and sourcing staff. So you may want to hire a staffing agency.
Yeah.
Because these are three resources that can be game changers in the business. I've actually used Lucas's team, Nourish and So, to do that. They're actually good at that, hiring, staffing.
Cool.
You could hire them. Them or an equivalent, and they could basically help you with the scope. They could put all the postings, do the initial screenings, and then do that. That's what they do for JDC.
Nice.
And sometimes, we don't always love to give up equity, but if you find the right partner, you may be able to get a better resource by giving up equity or profit sharing. Right. Like in this year, I brought on a CEO for JDC because JDC needed a CEO. Like I couldn't get it any higher than this by myself.
Yeah.
Like I needed help because I'm not a manager. I could not build the systems necessary. So I brought in a resource I couldn't afford, and I got that resource by paying in equity.
Gotcha.
So that's an option too. Because if you had an amazing integrator, it changes the game for everything. Because if you got freed up from those 3 jobs, how much more revenue would you be able to generate?
Oh, a ton. Yeah.
So it's almost like you could look at how much additional revenue could you generate in 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days after getting that staff on board? And then maybe you hired an awesome manager who was like $180K salary, $15,000 a month, but that freed you up to generate $25,000 a month. Then you would need 45, and it would take 90 days to realize that $60,000, and then it would cost you 45. Then you can find some more capital and do it that way. Because that's usually the piece we miss, is the opportunity cost of doing it ourselves. And that's why we have to make sure we're working on the business and not in it.
Yes.
Cool.
Great.
Anything else?
No, I think this is good. This is good stuff.
Excellent. Awesome, man. All right. So you clear on what's next?
I am. And I am 100% confident that I'm going to do it.
Love to hear that. Look at that certainty.
Great.
Well, it's great to connect with you today.
You too, Jason.
I'll talk to you soon. And thank you, everybody else, for watching. I'm Jason Drees, and this is Transform with Jason Drees, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.